Cleveland Browns' relationship with the quarterback position continues to be a struggle. Shedeur Sanders, we're not even sure if he's the backup right now. They're paying Kenny Pickett $8,000. How does that work? If only they had a guy that was a leader of men. The guys on his team believe in him and want to play with him and believe that he's going to lead them to victory. This is a show-me world, and the NFL especially is a show-me environment. Baker Mayfield is legit. He's the real thing. Is there any franchise that's more snake bit at any position? I might be about to run you off if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. I apologize in advance. Cleveland Browns' relationship with the quarterback position continues to be a struggle. Let's just say that, and it's even worse than you think it is. Joe Flacco just traded this week to the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to be the Bengals quarterback. He'll move to the other team in Ohio, leaving Dylan Gabriel, the third-round pick, as the Cleveland starter. And Shedeur Sanders, we're not even sure if he's the backup right now because Western Kentucky Hilltopper Bailey Zappi may very possibly be the backup this weekend. We don't know for sure yet, but the one thing that we do know for sure is that the Cleveland Browns are paying a lot of quarterbacks, and they're paying a lot of money for quarterbacks who aren't even on their team or who are on their team but have no chance of playing, in the case of Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson is obviously a bigger problem than the other 7 put together. But take a look at this. Front Office Sports tweeting out, Deshaun Watson is getting $36 million this year. Jameis Winston is making a couple million, a little over that, in fact, to be the third stringer on the New York Giants. Dylan Gabriel is your starter. Joe Flacco, look at Joe Flacco priced like he's on sale at Walmart. Do you think that's how they got the Bengals to take him? For just $999,000, this 40-year-old quarterback can be yours. Have you seen enough of Jake Browning yet? There's Shedeur, just a little bit below Flacco. And again, Shedeur, we don't know what's going on. Is he the third stringer still? I thought when Flacco got traded, that meant he was moving up the depth chart, but Bailey Zappi maybe stepping in ahead of Shedeur. And there is Bailey Zappi making a nice little wage for himself. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is getting paid $57,000 for each one of his names this year. And Kenny Pickett, how do they owe Kenny Pickett $8,000, by the way? That's the best part of this entire thing. They're paying Kenny Pickett $8,000. How does that work?
How many installments?
They're the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, is he just taking that $1,000 a month? Is that how it's working out? Is he doing their order summaries for them every month, Ron? Do you think that's the arrangement? You think at the beginning of the month
he got the Bobby Bonilla.
He got
the Bobby Bonilla deal. He's getting $250 a year for the next whatever it is, 24 years, 32 years.
It's Kenny Pickett Day, $250 in the year 2056. We'll all celebrate it. If only the Cleveland Browns had a good quarterback. If only they had a badass who is gaining MVP talk already early in the season. If only they had a guy that was a leader of men who the guys on his team believe in him and want to play with him and believe that he's going to lead them to victories. If only they had that guy. Can you find his name on that jersey? You can find him third down on the right. There's Waldo. Baker fucking Mayfield. Cleveland Browns went through all of that trouble, drafted Baker Mayfield number 1, and then let him go because they decided they wanted the guy who pulls his dick out, allegedly, during massages. Great work, Cleveland.
Is that frowned upon?
Fantastic work. It's like George Costanza. Was that wrong? Should I not have done that? Yeah, you got rid of that guy who is just sweating swagger at this point in time down in Tampa Bay. And I take back everything negative that I've ever said about Baker Mayfield. In the beginning, I thought he was a punk. In the beginning, I thought that his play was not on the level of his hype. He was in a lot of commercials. I felt like we were getting force-fed Baker Mayfield there for a period of time, and I didn't see a player that was on the level that he needed to be in about every second or third commercial that I was watching. Now I see one of the toughest sons of bitches in the NFL. I see a leader, and I see a guy that all but a handful of teams in the NFL would be happy to have as their quarterback right now. Take it back. And obviously he got the swagger when he put that uniform on. You get Bucko Bruce on both sides of your head, pretty soon you're going to be telling Seattle punks that they can fuck right on off and check back with you later because you showed up in Seattle not to lose. You showed up in Seattle to win. And Baker Mayfield himself has some comments on this about how the perception of number 6 has evolved since he entered the league. Let's take a listen.
I told you guys that I try and not get too high, not get too low, which is something that I was not doing early on in my career. But, early on in my career, it's looked as cocky and mature. Now it's moxie, he's a dog. Same shit, different day. As long as you play well, they change the narrative. But you just got to be yourself, and I've always been like that.
Cocky becomes moxie. Hey, look, he's proven it. He's proven it. This is a show-me world, and the NFL especially is a show-me environment. Baker Mayfield has showed us now, certainly last season, certainly through the now close to first third of the 2025 season. I'm a believer. Baker Mayfield is legit. He's the real thing. He might even possibly be the MVP of the league this year. I certainly would not rule that out as we go forward. They are wearing the creamsicles a lot, though, aren't they? They've already worn them twice. They're going to be wearing them again later in the year. Maybe this is just the way that God wants it. Did you ever consider that? I believe that the quarter machines in heaven are all just stocked with those. You put the quarter in, you crank every time you hit a touchdown. When you get that, you better believe that was the one that I wanted back in the day when I was going up to those machines. And, ironically, who's the team that none of us wanted? The Browns, because they were the only team that didn't have stickers to go on the sides of the helmet. It seemed like a waste. All you did was just put the stripe down the middle and your work was done. Where was the fun in that? I tell you, I don't think there was a lot, but I have a lot of fun on this program 5 days a week when I welcome to the program the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, Cleveland Browns and quarterbacks, it's like oil and water. Is there any franchise that's more snake bit at any position? That guy with the jersey with all the names on it, he becomes a bigger legend with each passing year that goes by because it's pretty much like the Stanley Cup. At a certain point, it's like you're going to have to get those names on the back of your jersey in a font that's so small that we'll need a magnifying glass to read it because the names keep on getting added to it and they cannot solve their problems.
You would think that. So when did Couch get drafted? 99? Was that when Couch got drafted? 98, 99?
Back around that 99, 2000, somewhere.
Okay, so let's
there,
just say 25 years just to keep it clean, right? How have they not accidentally got a great quarterback in 25 years? Just like fallen into their laps accidentally.
They did. And his name was Baker Mayfield.
They accidentally
fucked it up.
To be fair, the Baker in Cleveland isn't the Baker today. He has clearly matured a lot. And I know what he just said, that, same guy, different words. So that one's a little iffy because he had shoulder problems when they got rid of him. So they probably prematurely got rid of him. But I think that's the other thing that they do is they give up way too easy, don't they? Like they just give up way too. I mean, Flacco was there for what? 4 games? 5 games? They're like, yeah, you're gone. I mean, they brought in Pickett and then Pickett, and they're like, no, we're just going to trade you to the Raiders. So yeah, that is we talk about dysfunctional when we were talking about the Dolphins a couple weeks ago. Man, they ain't got nothing on the Browns. Like 25 years. Who's the last good quarterback for the Browns? Brian Sipe?
I mean, that's Bernie Kosar slander, sir.
No, but wasn't
you can't
was Bernie after? That was just that's my
that.
fault then. No, that's my fault then. Bernie was after Brian Sipe. Okay, my bad. Yeah, my bad. Okay, Bernie Kosar.
Yeah,
Brian Sipe, Bernie Kosar.
I mean, am I missing somebody from the 90s? Did they have somebody decent in the early? I mean, their franchise ended for 3 years in the fucking 90s.
Right. Sure.
Remember when they disappeared and then they came back? So no, they've been fucked for a long time, dude. I mean, we're going 30 plus years now that they have struggled. And yes, Baker Mayfield wasn't the Baker Mayfield that we see now, but he still showed more warts and all in the time that he was in Cleveland than any of these other guys. And then you go out and you give $250 million guaranteed.
That's worst contract in the history of contracts, not just football contracts, just contracts, all contracts of all time, regardless of what the contract was for. Worst contract of all time.
Tim just got in my ear and said early 90s they had Vinny Testaverde, and God, I almost hate to say it, Mike Tomczak as well. So right away, I know that he wasn't the answer because anybody that you were blocking his shot back to half court.
You don't want them as your quarterback.
That's not the solution. You don't want him as your quarterback. So no, it's a messed up situation in Cleveland. There's no doubt about it. Now, Dillon Gabriel, I do want to say before we move on, Dillon Gabriel has had one start. He's a rookie. Okay. He was a 3rd round pick. He's had one start and he looked perfectly fine for it being his first start in the NFL. So I don't want to just close the page on us talking about the Browns quarterback problems without acknowledging that Dillon Gabriel could possibly be that guy.
That's
and
unless
there are some people out there. There are some people out there that think that Shedeur Sanders also
those people
could be that guy.
Those people are clueless, but Dillon's going to be fine unless he throws 2 interceptions.
His number's retired, Ron.
Oh,
be careful what you say. His number's retired.
Oh,
he's a legend.
Need to give him some more reverence. But yeah, Dillon needs to be careful that he doesn't throw 2 interceptions in one game because the Browns just might cut him.
Here comes Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky, from the Western Kentucky University.
The pride of Bowling Green, Kentucky. You think he's a colonel?
That's right. Doing it just like it. Well, I don't know. I could nominate him.
You could nominate
as a colonel.
Him. Yeah.
I could nominate Bailey Zappi, but he's got to get at least one win as a starting quarterback in Cleveland before I do that. Yeah, it would kind of be a bad look for the Colonels to have a Cleveland Browns quarterback, though, don't you think?
It would pretty much make you.
We can't just let anybody. We can't just let anybody into this club. It is prestigious. Ronnie, speaking of prestigious, Angel Reese is in prestigious company because she's going to be walking the Victoria's Secret runway. Yeah, that's right. This just announced here. Have a look. She is now a Victoria's Secret angel. Ron, first professional athlete to hit the runway for Victoria's Secret. Right there you have it. An inspiration to a generation of young women. No doubt about it, Ron. How special is this for you? Have you contacted Tyler yet and told her that she can also believe in her own dreams now. That we see
you had
Angel
to,
Reese.
You had to bring you had to bring Tyler up when I was about to say would.
Oh God. Well,
would.
Angel Reese and Sophie Cunningham. I'm not sure which one of those two is a bigger fan of taking their clothes off. But they could certainly collab on some semi-nudity related project, because both of those women seem to be at their most joyous when they have shed most of their clothing.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
We're not complaining. We're just observing. We're making note. At least Angel's not twerking in the mall. I mean, I give her that much.
That we know of.
But yeah, listen to this resume. First woman's athlete with a McDonald's meal. First female athlete on a box of Reese's Puffs. First professional basketball player of any gender. Even the weird ones that we don't believe are real genders, Ron. None of them have ever been on the cover of American Vogue, except for Angel Reese. First WNBA player to go to the Met Gala. Fastest WNBA player in 2 decades to get a signature shoe. Not even Caitlin Clark got a signature shoe as fast as Angel Reese. Second WNBA player to be on the cover of NBA 2K. Global ambassador for Juicy Couture. She's been in wait a minute. Tim, with my notes here, she's been in a Netflix thriller called A House of Dynamite. Angel Reese has been in a movie, and I didn't know about this. I have Netflix. She's not naked in it, is she?
Naked?
Do we know? I feel like
naked?
when I used to get the HBO guide. Does A House of Dynamite, is that R-rated? A House of Dynamite?
Mature content?
Can she act? I don't know.
Well, of course. Well, listen, we know that she can act. We know she can act because acting's easy. I mean, we've already established that on this show. So.
Well, have you ever considered that you're just more talented than most people, Ron? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe acting's easy for you because you're that guy. You're that motherfucker.
This is my God-given talent.
Not so easy for.
It is rated R, Ricky.
It's easy.
It is rated R. You haven't missed it. You haven't missed it. It's in theaters tomorrow. Actually, it's in theaters October 10th and streams on Netflix October 24th. But most importantly, Ron, she doesn't agree with you. Acting is hard because she's actually going to hire an acting coach now after her debut.
Mm.
Wow.
According to people.
She should maybe hire a layup
she's really
coach.
Good?
You should hire a layup coach first.
She needs to act like somebody that can make a layup.
See how
that works for her.
There you go.
Ron, that could be her most challenging role. It's going to be like when Daniel Day-Lewis was in My Left Foot for her.
You're going to win an Oscar.
Yeah. Let's see if she can pull that one off. I'm not so sure. All right, well, it's easy for me to say this, Ron, no matter what. It's time for America's Poll of the Day, and let's go to it now at Super 70 Sports on X, where the Eagle flies high. The Eagles flying higher than the payroll for the Cleveland Browns quarterbacks in 2025, Ron. That's pretty high. In fact, here are the options that we have today. I wrote this one about 2 minutes before the show started because I fucking forgot. So if people don't like it, kiss my ass. Here we go. We'll start with golf carts. And golf carts are not just for golf. Sometimes you'll have that elderly person in your neighborhood and the golf cart is just sort of, they're riding it to the mailbox and shit. So, we got to think broadly here with the utility of golf carts. Secondly, we've got Waffle House. That's right, the awful waffle. I spent many a drunken late night in a Waffle House as a Kentuckian. Third, we've got Jerome Bettis, one of the hardest running backs in the history of the league. And lastly, The Cure. Yeah, the Bus, and then The Cure. Emo band. Robert Smith, the creative genius behind The Cure. Goth motherfucker, in fact. Ronnie, break it down for me as only you can.
Okay, so my neighborhood is a golf cart neighborhood, and I have a strict rule about golf carts personally. I think that they're great for young families with little kids, and then for people that are really old. Somebody in my kind of range, no chance, because I need to get as many steps in as I can. And because I'm lazy, if I had a golf cart in the garage, I would take that. And so no chance we're getting a golf cart because I need to walk as much as I possibly can. Waffle House, I mean, who doesn't like breakfast? Waffle House kind of icks me out a little bit because I think it's pretty unsanitary. Like they've got like a big long wooden cutting board, and you just see them. You gotta have to put it out of your mind that you're probably eating a lot of germs when you're there. Jerome Bettis, have a little prop for you.
Oh, look at that.
So
I need some air, Ron.
Yeah, I know it does need air. A client gave that to me a while ago, and the reason I got it was because Lori grew up in Pittsburgh during the Super Bowl years, and so Lori and now Tyler are just massive Steeler fans. By the way, Lori's flying up, and she's going to the Steelers Bears game right before Thanksgiving, so she'll be up there. So I have to like Jerome Bettis by marriage. And then The Cure. I don't know if you've ever you won't remember this, but I'll wear a shirt sometimes. The logo is the Mean Mr. Mustards. It was the punk bar at Ohio State, and so they used to play The Cure all the time. And I got to tell you, I love Love Song and I love Friday I'm in Love. So
there was a punk bar at Ohio State called Mean Mr. Mustards.
Yeah, it was all. Yeah, it was.
Do you know?
It's a Beatles song.
Do you know where Mean Mr. Mustard comes from?
Song.
All right, very good, song, Ron.
Yeah.
Very good, Ron. Yeah. Boys Don't Cry. That's
Mm-hmm.
another one.
Yeah. So
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you're down with The Cure.
I'm gonna shock you, man. I'm gonna go with The Cure.
Wow. That's like a 50-1 long shot winning the Kentucky Derby. I don't think I've ever been more surprised.
I really like alternative music from the 80s, Ricky. Like I really like it. So I'm gonna go The Cure.
Look at you. Just when I think in our friendship that I've figured out.
I came hard with the Doobie Brothers the other day.
T-shirts.
I mean, the Doobie Brothers.
What's going on?
No.
All right. Well, let's bring in producer Tim and get his thoughts on this. Tim, you have heard Ronnie's, actually pretty surprising response here today. How do you stack them?
Yeah, I'm surprised. Friday I'm in Love. That's from 1978, huh? Is that possible?
Wow.
Good song.
Is it that old?
I got to double check.
I don't know.
Love song is fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Ron. It doesn't get my vote though. Good stuff. I like alternative. You can dance to a little bit of it. The Bus is the Bus. I kind of liked him as a player, certainly back in Notre Dame, decent with CBS when he was calling stuff. Waffle House, unfortunately, I've been scarred for life, and I could just think of the Jonas Brothers' awful song, The Waffle House, that's come out. I have been in the Waffle House a few times. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's kind of mid, to be honest with you. Maybe because I haven't been there with 17 beers in me at 2 a.m. But I'm going golf carts, man.
Tim, I will just tell you.
It does help. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going golf carts. I cracked my kneecap open on a golf cart when I was like 12. But other than that, man, good stuff with golf carts. Good day. Sets up for a good day, Ricky. What do you got?
All right. Well, golf carts are great. I'll be honest. If I'm playing golf, I'd rather walk. It's the carrying of the bag that's a pain. The professional golfers have it easy. They're just somebody else is carrying that fucking bag for them. The walking is not really a problem. Waffle House, my sneaky favorite thing about the Waffle House is the songs on the jukebox that are about Waffle House. Did either one of you ever play any of those? There's one called Special Lady at the Waffle House.
Never even heard of it.
And it's just, yeah. Yes. Just, well, look it up. You can find them online. I think they're even on Spotify and stuff like that.
If you would have put Waffle House
there
Fights
are a handful
instead of Waffle House, I might have gone with Waffle House Fights.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's like a 30% chance that there's going to be a fight every time you walk in a Waffle House. So you just got to be ready for the smoke.
And those odds go up as the night goes on.
Mentally be, yeah. You mentally have to be prepared that you could have to defend yourself between hash brown bites. So that just goes with the territory. Jerome Bettis, I love Jerome Bettis. I had a Jerome Bettis jersey that I pretty much just wore out years ago. There's a lot of photos of me from about 15 years ago wearing that Bettis jersey. And then The Cure, I only really discovered them a few years ago. My favorite Cure song is Catch, is what it's called. Look that one up, Ron.
I will listen to that.
See what you think about it. Yeah, Catch. It's a good one. So let's see what the Super 70s Nation has to say on this. I feel like I don't know what's going to happen, actually.
Not a bad poll.
And it's golf carts. Golf carts narrowly ahead of Waffle House, the Bus, and The Cure, almost in a tie for the bronze here today. So basically, we got two different races. We'll have to keep an eye. Only 1,000 votes in because, again, I posted this late. So we don't have a lot of votes. I'm not going to rule out a Waffle House comeback here. Waffle House, we know that they've got a lot of fight in them. And today the fight is against golf carts. And somebody's going to finish third. It'll either be Jerome Bettis or Robert Smith in The Cure, boys. Speaking of fights, there was a pretty good fight that went down in 1994. It was one-sided, and it brought me a great deal of satisfaction. I speak, of course, of the day that our friend Jim Everett went off on Jim Rome, justifiably so, after being taunted for a little too long. And apparently Leaf has a dual sign Jim Everett, Jim Rome card, and this seems to come as a surprise to Jim Everett, who was not aware of it here. Look at this. One collector recently pulled a card called Sports Heroes, signed by Jim Everett and Jim Rome. And these guys will sign stickers. So it's not, if you're sitting there saying, well, how could he not know? Look at the card. It's because the autograph most likely was on a sticker and then later applied to this card. So Jim didn't know that existed, and he actually, look at that, he tagged Jim Rome. Jim Rome is hiding under a table somewhere now. Oh my God. You better hope Jim Everett doesn't want round two, motherfucker. I'll tell you that. I remember what happened in 94. The smack boy got smacked. By God, Jim Everett could do it to you again, you punk. Don't you ever forget. Don't you ever.
Were you a clone? Ricky, were you a clone?
Jim Everett like that. Was I a clone?
Yeah, that's
what you talking about?
That's what Jim Rome called all his listeners, clones.
I don't know, Ron. I'll have to reflect on that during this break that we're going to right now. When we come back, I'll be joined by former All-Pro Indianapolis Colts tight end Dallas Clark. It'll all happen straight ahead right here, right after this on The Ricky Cobb Show.
Football's finally back. So's the hard-hitting gridiron action on Prize Picks. Download Prize Picks and use code OUTKICK and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Blue 40! Blue 40! Get set! Get set! We're running 6-7 bunch, 44 under, 41 stack, under center. Ready? Open the door. Open the door. Green 19. Green 19. Ready on two. Ready. Bang. Reset. Green 19. Take go.
Man, sometimes I miss college. I can tell you that. They didn't have the tush push back in my day. They didn't have the tush push back in the day when the man who's about to join me was at the University of Iowa either. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the program All-Pro tight end, Super Bowl champion Dallas Clark. Dallas, how are you, man?
Great, brother. How are you? Hey, I want to know which one was it. Was it Micah Parsons or was it Dask? Who liked the girl? Like who are they? Who was trying to impress who there in that video? I want to know, which one and how are they doing? Have they gone their first date? I don't know. I mean, I'm just disappointed that they're more creative than I am.
Yeah, they've got a lot more at stake than just a first down.
I know,
Could
right?
be somebody's rest of their life, If it's Miss Right in that dormitory, you better get a push.
You don't want to bobble that snap.
Oh man! So Dallas, it's great to have you back, man.
Great seeing you again.
Let's start with Indianapolis. And maybe the most surprising team in the NFL, the 4-1 Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones is now Indiana Jones. Last time I talked to you, he didn't even have his identity yet. What do you make of this Colts team? They look even the game they lost was a game against the Rams that they could have won. Yeah. It's pretty damn impressive. And how impressed are you with Daniel Jones?
I'm absolutely loving it. I'm just loving it for the organization, Coach Shane and all the staff. That, I mean, they knew they were always confident with what they had, and it just wasn't clicking for whatever reason. Little things here and there, but it just seemed like Daniel Jones has kind of been that cog that just kind of that gel that just really got the engine going. And here's the deal. I hate to I will never be a GM and I will never assess talent, but I do remember watching Daniel Jones for the first time. It was a late night. He was a senior in college and they were playing someone. It was Saturday night football. And he threw for 6 touchdowns. And I was following Duke at the time because Coach Cutcliffe, Peyton's offense coordinator at Tennessee, we went down to Duke and did some training down there, got to know him, and he is one of the best coaches to ever coach this game of football. And so I would always support him and watch his teams. And I was watching this Daniel Jones kid, right? And no one knows Daniel Jones. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, is that a Manning? Like his mannerisms and the way he checked and his shoulders and the way he looked off safeties. And I'm just like, this, and I think he threw 6 touchdowns. It was just, video game cheat code. And I saw then, I'm like, this guy's got something. And then he went to the Giants. And so I don't know if that was the right place. And I still believed, I'm like, when they got him, and what Shane and his offensive philosophy and just how he can kind of nurture and kind of guide and kind of have a great feel for a quarterback and get them to fire on all cylinders. I was excited. 4-1 excited. It's even impressed me. I love it.
Yeah, I took a little victory lap on the program because I predicted that he would be their week 1 starter. Anthony Richardson, yes. You didn't have to be clairvoyant to see that there were some problems there with Anthony Richardson. I had no idea that Daniel Jones was going to come out and just go beast mode on the NFL like he has. Of course, what were they? 1 punt in the first 3 games.
Unreal.
Which is crazy.
Type of stuff. That's that's Manning era, right? That's the Manning level. That's stuff we did, and we. We had years to try to do that, and he's done it in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. You know a little something about that. Your punter was like the Maytag repairman. there for about a decade.
He smoked more cigarettes during a game than Tom Moore.
It just goes to show, though, right, how much it's not just the player, but it's the situation, it's the coaching, it's the playbook, it's what you have around you. Because you look at Baker Mayfield, who I think there's this recognition going on around the league right now that, like, oh yeah, Baker Mayfield. Not only if it took us a while to accept that he was good, then it's like, he might be quite good. And now he might be MVP caliber, and we've had to sort of reassess. And there's a photo floating around out there, Dallas. I just saw it the other day. It's Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield when they were both with the Panthers. And the comment was basically, this is diabolical, to show this to Panthers fans. How can you have such riches and then play it into both of those guys being out of town? Obviously, the Cleveland Browns, they've got 8 quarterbacks that they're paying right now. Deshaun Watson is getting more than the other 7 combined. Yeah. And yet they're watching what Baker Mayfield is doing now in Tampa Bay. How much of it is the quarterback, and how much of it is everything around the quarterback? Because as you were saying, Daniel Jones, he goes to the Giants. You see something in him. He goes to the Giants and, kind of womp womp. And there's a lot of people that would have been ready to write Daniel Jones off permanently. And yet 5 weeks into being an Indianapolis Colt, we're like, oh yeah, Daniel Jones. I remember why we were excited about him a few years ago. You were in the league a long time. You know the game. What is the secret? Is there a secret?
Well, I think you have 32 general managers and head coaches trying to find that. But honestly, I think you nailed it. It is, ice cream needs chocolate sauce on top, and one without the other is like, it's okay, but like it needs both components. And I think, and I'm going to go back to your original start of the question of Baker Mayfield. Kudos to Baker Mayfield. And what I love about that kid and that team, they just keep going to work. Are they like getting in the conversation with the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes? Like, no, he's not. Like, he's still like, and I still think they have that kind of that chip. And I think they're riding it. The chip's just getting bigger and bigger, how they're just not getting the respect that I feel they deserve. Or maybe it's just not making it up to Iowa. I don't know. But I think Baker has done tremendous. And I remember talking to Tom Moore, their senior advisor, and one of my top 3 coaches of all time, Tom Moore. He's still down there just dog cussing kids and making them better. But when Baker Mayfield, I was like, hey, coach, when you who you guys going to sign this offseason? He's like, brother, we're going to run with Baker. I'm like, no, Tom, seriously, who you guys going to get in free agency? Hey, Dallas, this kid's legit. He's real. He's for real. And I'm like, are you serious? Tom Moore called it. And if Tom Moore says you're legit and you're a dude and you're tough and you play the game the way it's supposed to be played, Baker Mayfield does that. So, and I think, and then you talk about those, Charlotte, and you talk about, or Carolina, and you talk about Cleveland, you talk about those organizations. And I think you're kind of scratching the surface of that's amazing. That's amazing. I just saw the clip. But I think you're scratching. And again, Daniel Jones and Giants. Giants fans are going, are you serious, Daniel Jones? Why? Where was this? And so, and then he comes into Shane's nest and the Colts realm, and it just fires. The lights come on. And maybe it's, obviously it's the system, it's the confidence. It's the environment, it's the locker room, it's your supporting staff, it's everyone knowing their role. And Rick, I think, so the last few years I've gone back, feels like every year for a Colts game, for either Ring of Honor or basically Ring of Honor. And so we usually go down on the field and then we're hanging around the locker room, and every year up until this year, hanging around the team and going in the locker room before the game, you just got this vibe where I'm like, man, I know I'm old, but like, I don't feel anyone like here for each other. I don't feel like there's anyone here that's just like, fighting for the shoe, fighting for something besides themselves. And I don't know. And it just was a weird feeling. And I went back week 1 for Mr. Irsay's Ring of Honor, and walking around that locker room, talking to the guys, talking to the coaches, the buzz was way different. I mean, everyone, and then you watch the game, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe Dolphins aren't very good, or maybe it's maybe it's Mr. Irsay and him being in the Ring of Honor made everyone made everyone focus and click. Well, then they, week 2 shine, week 3 shine, and obviously stubbed their toe a little bit, but still had moments that they coulda, shoulda, and didn't. But still, everything is still trending in the right direction, and that's where the signs of a team that is unified, and a team that is vibing, and a team that is clicked, and Coach Seitchen has. I'm hoping I'm not saying something. I'm not so, but I swear he has this guitar. I'm hoping this is out. Coach Shane, sorry if I'm letting you in on a little secret, but they got this guitar, and it's like this traveling guitar. And obviously everyone knows that Mr. Irsay loved music, loved guitars. And so he had this special guitar, and it's kind of their traveling, kind of just their traveling good luck charm, or their traveling reminder of why we're playing this great game, and why, the people better, we're representing something bigger than us, this organization, this crowd, the fans, the state of Indiana. And I think everyone is just kind of holding on to that, or just grabbing or understanding that. And they're playing with a different type of fight. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I would be scared if you have Indianapolis on your schedule. This team is not a one-hit wonder. They're legit.
Well, if you would have told me that the Indianapolis Colts were going to be 4-1, and the Ravens were going to be 1-4, and the Kansas City Chiefs were going to be 2-3, I don't know. It's an interesting. It's not your dad's AFC this year,
No, it's unreal. I mean, it is. And you know what? I think it's great for the game of football. I think it's just great for the sport, just to see that, teams don't need to sign, the $200-300 million quarterback. I mean, freaking Daniel Jones. Are you kidding me? I love it. And Coach Shane was, if he just looked at someone wrong, he's gone. Those guys couldn't be on a hotter seat. So for him to, Mr. Polian would always talk about, block out the noise, and don't even listen to your mom. Don't even listen to your cousin or your best friend. Don't listen to the noise. And he always talked about one voice. All you have to do is listen to one voice. And that was Coach Dungy. And I truly believe that those men showed up for training camp, and they blocked out the noise, and they just went to work. And it would have been easy for them to just start going, oh, God, Daniel Jones, what? Oh, my God, what are we, But those guys connected in the trenches. Those guys connected. The D-line was freaking phenomenal. O-line's playing great. Taylor, hello, he's like 22 years old again. So it's phenomenal. And it's just like everyone has taken it upon themselves. Like, what's my job? What do I need to do? And they've just followed the same voice, followed coach, and you're seeing the product of a team that's bought in.
By the way, Dallas, before we move on, and I'm going to pivot back to Baker Mayfield for just a second. I had just tweeted that, I didn't believe in the guy. When he first came into the league, I kind of thought he was a snot-nosed punk a little bit, and he came into the league, and then the hype was so far ahead of the performance at first, right? He was like on every third commercial. And, I don't blame him for cashing in. I would have too if I were him. But still, it was kind of like, oh, my God, Baker Mayfield again. And the play wasn't, so great. I tweeted the other day, I said, I would block for this guy now. I said, I used to not be able to stand him. I'd go out there and block for him now. And one of my followers said, well, it seems like you still don't like him, which I think was an indictment of my blocking skills. Dallas, I should have said I would try. I would try to block for him.
You got this. You got this.
I mean, at least for one down, just on nervous adrenaline, I'd be semi-effective.
I think you might look just a little bit better than those kids in the dorm room. But here's the thing. But think about this. So let's go back to this interview, and hopefully maybe 2 years, maybe next year, as early as next year, but maybe a couple years. But maybe we see AR on a team and he's flourishing. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, AR, this, he's this, he's fourth round or fourth pick of the draft. How embarrassing, how disappointing. But it's like, hey, he's a kid. Like it doesn't mean he doesn't have to get better. It doesn't mean he has to develop. It doesn't mean just because you're a first rounder doesn't mean you can't improve. It doesn't mean you can't learn the game and understand your role and understand how to take care of the ball and understand those nuances of what it means to be a leader. Like, what if he's taken? I mean, this could be the best thing that happened, because if Daniel Jones comes in and he's 1-4, well, guess what? They're all leaving. Now now AR doesn't get to sit in the meeting room and watch to see what a successful team looks like and see, I'm hoping he's taken, lots of notes. I'm hoping his number 2 pencil is just getting worn down, because every day he's seeing, hey, look at the running backs. Okay, I need to check that. Okay, you know what? Look at how much the running backs block for me on the back. Look how they picked up that zone blitz. I need to, hey, great job. Or maybe I need to, see that number 4 coming down, rotating over. And now I go to the back of the weak side away from the blitz, or I throw into the blitz. Whatever the nuances, I'm hoping he is just being a sponge and putting his ego aside, putting this is a waste of a year and sitting back there. Shame on him if he's approaching it like that. So I don't think he is. I don't think that building would allow him to do that. But man, what an opportunity for him to just kind of reset the mechanism, take a deep breath, and learn how to play this game. Learn how to be an NFL quarterback. And then there'll be another chance, maybe with the Colts, I don't know. But there's 31 other teams that, there's probably about 12 of them at the end of the year that are needing a new dude. So, hey, he'll have his chance, and I hope he's ready. I hope he shocks the world.
Yeah, and it's a great point that you make, because, just in this conversation, we've talked about Baker. We had Sam Darnold up on the screen. We're talking about Daniel Jones. So Anthony Richardson he's a kid. So, yeah, there's a long future there for him, and I hope that he takes advantage of it. Hey, but one more thing here. Can we get that tweet back up of Baker Mayfield that we just had up? Can we pop that back up for a second? Because the man that I'm speaking to right now, some people may not remember it, but I remember that you were also a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes, sir.
And if my research is correct, you got to wear the creamsicles at least one time.
I did.
Was it just once?
Once. They just did it for one game.
Okay.
And it was the coolest thing in the world.
Okay. And
if I remember,
because there's Baker,
I think I scored a touchdown. A touchdown wearing those. It was in the back of the end zone. Shit, I think I did. I swear I did. It was in the south end zone. Yeah, I might be wrong, but
I'm not even going to fact check you just because I love the story so much. That's it. That is the official word.
Those sideline hats, those creams, the orange cream, the sideline hats. I still have it. I still have that jersey. That's iconic, right? That is like growing up collecting football cards. Obviously Tampa Bay when they wore those, a little sus, but it was like these are the coolest freaking uniforms ever, and. So yeah, that was a treat. That was pun intended, by the way. That was fun.
Yeah, I just had a Leroy Selman jersey delivered to my door yesterday, Dallas. So I should have worn it today if I'd been. I don't know.
Your Rocky Marciano is pretty badass. That's I think you wore the right thing. That is awesome.
All right, here's one that I've got to get your take on. Imari DiMercato and the 72-yard coffin nail touchdown run that was just a couple of inches away from being that. Obviously, they're up 21-6 against the Titans at home. He breaks free. There was literally nobody that could stop him except for himself. And he stopped himself. Dallas, you you obviously were in the NFL for a long time. You clearly played every level leading up to that. Did you ever encounter anything like it from a teammate? How do you feel if you are a teammate? We've now seen Jonathan Gannon get fined $100,000 for putting hands on him in what I thought was a very, very minor way, is how I saw it at least. He's apologized publicly. He has apparently apologized not only to DeMarcado, but the entire team. I feel like they kind of cut his nuts off a little bit here for something that looked to me like it was just normal coaching. So I will stand down and listen to an NFL All-Pro give me his take on this situation.
Well, I think it's one of the, I mean, you're always reminded about that stuff. You're always told, about that stuff and coached on. And I have never had that happen. I've never been a part of a team where that happens. But here it's happened a couple of times, and it's just kind of like, what are we doing? Like, how do these things still happen? But you get in the moment and I mean, it happened to the Colts, going across the yard, going across the end zone, and the ball, squirts out of his hand. And it's just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So, I mean, it's just, and as a high school football coach, I coach receivers. It's always good to have these moments and these reminders of, guys, like, even the pros are doing it. Let's don't think that it's, we're too big to be harped on it and reminded and make sure we get it in the end zone. But I think it's one of those things that you'd think it's happened enough where it wouldn't happen as often as it does.
So Jonathan Gannon fined $100,000 and what seemed to be a forced public apology. He indicated that he's apologized to the player. He's apologized to the entire team. Does this merit a fine? Does this merit an apology? Does this undermine his leadership in any way, this punishment that he's getting?
Yeah, I mean, the fine is extreme. I mean, I think if anything, that would be held within, the Arizona Cardinals, within their building, and from the owner, GM, something like that. And I mean, when you see it, it's obviously this game of football is heated, and obviously Arizona is just every game is a steep uphill battle, and so, so they're scratching and clawing to turn that organization around. And so every game is a playoff game in their minds. And so, I mean, heatedness and how intense the game is, it's stuff like that. Like, I mean, should a coach ever put hands on a player? Probably not, but it was certainly not in a way I felt like where he is. I don't know. I love I love the fireness. And here's the deal. We make mistakes. And what it kind of reminds me of, I was just showing, my son last night was talking about, we're talking about John Lynch hit on me. And so then we started talking about Rodney Harrison. I'm like, hey, see if they have some Rodney Harrison hits. Dude, just watch Rodney Harrison and watch what that guy did on a football field. And then you watch this and you're just like, yeah, that is, and granted it's a coach and a player and it's a different type of violence. It's obviously within the lines, but the game's it's a physical, it's an intense game. Should a coach never ever put no, I'm not saying that's okay, but and if he apologized, great. That's awesome. Then let's move on. That's the thing that, I'm hoping within those walls. It's kind of the same thing where Polian would say, hey guys, the society, everyone, social media is trying to make this a deal, but we got to get back to work. We're good. We moved on. He made a mistake. I probably lost my shit. And by the way, that happens. I mean, I think coaches could probably apologize every week for the things they say. Because here's the thing. Anything that happens in that locker, it's never personal. It's never personal. It's never personal. And it's wanting to make you better. And some guys can handle that. Some guys can't. And I think, I don't know. This is why I'm not on social media, because I wouldn't even want to hear what is being said, because I'm sure there's some people that look at that and go, oh my gosh, that's wrong. Oh my gosh, that's not right. And it's like, yes, if they were on the sidewalk, yes, that is wrong. That is not right. But this is football. And sorry, but football, like, it's a contact sport. Not that people can go hit each other, but I mean, just like you hit a guy in the shoulder pad, come on, get better than that. I'm sure we could go through Sunday's games and see a coach smack, if you hit him on top of the pads, would that be I mean, that's how we hit. That's how it's like, come on. I mean, I hit my receiver for dropping the ball on Friday. Come on, you're better than that. And it's love. It's love. That's all it is.
It's not a regular job.
No,
you can't equate football, especially the NFL. You can't equate it to working at Dunder Mifflin or being in a cubicle somewhere and your supervisor comes out and does, it's apples and oranges.
It is. It's apples and automobiles. It's not even the same. It's not even food.
Yes.
And that's the thing about, and that's the thing. And I hope, and I don't know if the player has come out and said anything, but geez, I think he's replaying the play and just sick to himself. And that is not, Tom Moore and Howard Mudd, if I recorded some of the shit that they said to me, holy criminy, that's but did I ever look at it? He's like, oh, that, no, it's like these dudes, Tom Moore would always say, hey, when I stop yelling at you, then you have a problem. And it's true, because we yell at you because we believe in you. We want the best for you. And that's true. It's just come on, you're better than that. Let's go. End of the story.
Dallas, great stuff as always. That's why I love having you on the program. Let my audience know what you got going on, where they can find you, anything that we need to stay up with the latest on Dallas Clark.
Well, you got to dig deep, because like I just said earlier, I'm not the social media guy. So I don't have, but if you're in Panama City, May 9th, I'm training for a half Ironman. I got my niece and my other niece's husband. We're going to try. I'm trying to get Anthony Gonzalez and Austin Callaway, some old teammates. We've been kicking around the idea of, hey, let's meet somewhere. Let's do a half Ironman. I did Kona back in 22. And so it's kind of that, degenerate, trying to fill in that void of competing and challenging the body. I think it's post-athlete PTSD. I think there needs to be a post-PA TSD. Because it is there. There's something about the fall that you watch football and it's just the smell, the dew, the leaves, the chill in the air. Come on, let's go right now.
Flowing.
Juices get flowing. So it's you know what? I can't do it. So let's try to punish the body and I love biking. Learned that I'm not a bad swimmer. That was a hell of a challenge, but it's a great challenge. But no, I coach high school football. We got to win out to try to make the districts. We lost our first game in the district. So I coach at Humboldt Wildcats. Got a great group. Jackson Flaherty is leading our offense, and we got Valley Davis and some great kids that just are great senior class. And talk about full circle. I know I'm going to sound old here for a little bit, but that is you have so many Tom Moore, Howard Mudd, Coach Ferentz, Coach Dungy, all these guys that just poured into you. Coach Doyle, my strength coach at Iowa, all these guys that just helped mold me as a man, as a player. it's kind of cool to recycle all their, Tom Moore comes out about every practice, just yelling at these kids and making them fall in love, or not making them, hoping that they fall in love with the game of football and understanding, because it's one of those things where you look back, right, and you're like, damn it, left some in the tank. And that's just my biggest fear, is that these kids like leave and they don't realize how special this game is. And so it's a ball, man. It's fun giving back and pouring into these kids. And that is almost as catching a third down, third down against the Patriots in the fourth quarter, maybe. But it's pretty damn close.
Well, they're damn lucky to have you. I know that. And once you kick ass and complete this half Ironman or whatever, we'd love to have you back on, and you can give us the details on how it all went down. All right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Done.
You got yourself a deal.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. I love it. He is Dallas Clark. We appreciate you as always. Well, Ronnie, that was a lot of fun. Dallas Clark, we had a good time with him last time he was on the show, and he delivers once again. What from the conversation stuck out for you, Ron?
I didn't know that Dallas and I had so much in common. I am training for a half Ironman also.
Which half are you training for?
The part
Second
when it's
half
over.
Or the first half.
The part when it's over.
Yeah. I trade for that part every day myself.
I told you yesterday. I told you yesterday I could barely walk because I did 60 squats, and this man's training for a half marathon. Boy, make me feel really good about myself, Dallas.
Well, this is what I'm saying. NFL players are built different. This is why you cannot compare what happened on the Cardinals sideline to what happens at your normal place of work.
Yeah.
These are a different breed of cat.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying. I'm kind of complimenting Amari DiMercato in a way. I'm saying that he can take it. Give it to me straight, doctor. I can take it, as Dr. Johnny Fever once said. All right, Ronnie, this is the part in the program where I normally tilt my head and ask you the question that I love to ask you. And as much as I love that, we've got something a little bit special today, Ron, because it is the Super 70 Sports Greatest Hits on the topic of classic arcade games. Get a load of this shit. Does that bring back any memories? For some of you, if you're of a certain age, it almost definitely brings back a lot of memories of barrels falling on my head, specifically. I was never that good at Donkey Kong, but I sure did love it. And so buckle up, guys. This is the Super 70 Sports Arcade Greatest Hits today on the program. How are you going to spend your quarter when you walk into an arcade and you're confronted with such a delicious menu of options? Speaking for myself, if you gave me $1, I'm going to play track and field. I'm going to play Galaga. I'm going to play pole position. And I'm going to wrap it up with a nice game of Burger Time. I believe. I think that goes down well. And my God, track and field. My forearms are burning now just looking at this. You remember this? You got to get the rhythm going. Some people would cheat. They would use a pencil. Anytime the high score was really good, you knew somebody used a pencil. I never did that, though, because I was a purist. Damn it. I was the King Griffey Jr. I was playing through a dirty era. Look at that. High jump. Oh my God. I love this game so much. Memories. They're all coming back. I'm like Celine Dion. It's all coming back to me now. I always could do well until I got to the hammer throw, and the hammer throw would fuck me up every time. Look at this. And by the way, some people think that the perfect segment of television doesn't exist. How about Diane from The Price is Right standing next to track and field? The only thing that would make it better is if she was in a bikini. If she was in a bikini, that might be the perfect moment of 80s television that you're looking at right now. And if you think playing track and field is hard with two hands, try playing it with one. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the greatest games, but Donkey Kong was huge. Track and field is a little more of a niche selection. That's how I like to roll, but my friends were heavily into Donkey Kong, and understandably so, including in a nation full of Donkey Kong maniacs, Fred Rogers. Can you say Mr. Rogers is about to pound a box of Donkey Kong cereal? I knew you could. There he is, just out in the store. I see Pac-Man cereal down there as well. Look at that, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong side by side. It was the early 1980s, and we thought that technology had reached its crescendo at that time. What were the most popular? Pac-Man was the most popular, really. It started with Asteroids and Space Invaders. We'll talk about those in a bit. But Pac-Man changed the game. Pac-Man Fever. I know some of you remember Buckner and Garcia. They played that shit on the radio. That's how into it we were. And so Pac-Man was a big deal. Donkey Kong was a big deal. Galaga was a big deal. But I asked my audience not that long ago, name an underrated arcade classic. What are the games that don't get the love, that don't get talked about so much? And I started the conversation over at Super 70 Sports with this sweet bastard, Burger Time. I know I've got a few Burger Time enthusiasts that are watching this right now, and you're just nodding your head slowly in agreement. And I see you out there, you sweet bastards. Burger Time, so much fucking fun. I got a Galaga machine during COVID that has over 400 games on it, and one of the games that's on it is Burger Time. And I went through a period of time because there was nothing fucking else to do. Remember when we couldn't leave the house? We couldn't see people. If you looked at somebody, you were going to die. Remember that? So I stayed inside and I smoked weed and I played Burger Time. And I got really, really fucking good at it. But that is a hard game. Burger Time. Might be a little too hard for some people, but I always enjoyed it. But I was never good at Donkey Kong, sadly. Such a great game. Always loved it. But man, I was a barrel magnet. But you get me in the arcade playing some games, and I might get on a heater. And it was always great for your ego back in the day when you were in the arcade and you knew you were killing it when you started to see the audience form behind you. Were you ever just playing so great at a game that suddenly there'd be 3, 4, 5 people gathered around like you were the most fucking entertaining thing going on in the whole mall? Yeah, it's happened to me on a handful of occasions. I could last a while on a quarter on Galaga, certainly, among others. And then there was another game, I think it was called Kickman. It was a clown on a unicycle. Does anybody remember that? That one is a deep pull, even by my standards. But I loved the game Kickman. I think that's what it was called. And I could last a long time playing that one as well. I suppose that we all have our favorites. I was a Frogger fan as well. That was one of my jams back in the day. Always ticklish trying to get across that road, though. You know, you get a little cocky, and the minute that you got a little cocky, splat is what would happen. Those cars are moving pretty fast. There's always the one guy who's out there driving like he plays for the University of Georgia. You know, that's the guy you had to watch out for. He's going about 165 miles an hour, and if you really wanted to go fast yourself, Well, I recommend this game. Today in 1981, you hit a nice little straight stretch on pole position, popped in an Aerosmith 8-track, and just did some goddamn thinking about life. You know what I mean? Windows down, natural air conditioning was how we liked it back in the day. Your hair whipping around, and be careful as you go around the turn because you could end up in a billboard very fast, as I recall my days of playing pole position. Prepare to qualify. I don't know why I sounded like Mr. Miyagi there when I said that, but fuck it. I'm going to consider that a bonus for you today. Look at this, man. No better feeling than walking into an arcade with a $5 bill. I thought I was the wealthiest kid in the world. If I went into an arcade holding a $5, you stick it in that sweet bastard and then strut on over to Donkey Kong like you own the entire arcade. Or whatever game it is that you prefer. And sometimes, they would give you tokens. I remember the Land of Oz at the Greenwood Mall in Bowling Green, Kentucky. You got a better deal. You get 5 tokens for $1. You weren't just stuck with 4 quarters. You get that bonus play. So if you went in there with a $5 bill, they dropped 25 tokens on you, and it was as though you had $6 and a quarter. Back when you could get a fair deal in this American society of ours. And what must our grandparents and great-grandparents have been thinking at the dawn of the video game revolution? I love this tweet. When you think about it, when you really think about it, it's pretty amazing to be born in 1899 and then wind up playing Space Invaders within your lifetime. And if we live long enough, God only knows the types of artificially intelligent activities that we'll be involved in when we're geriatric. But can you just imagine? Margaret, the aliens are coming, shoot! I don't know what to do. I remember my parents, no idea what to do. One stick and one button. My poor mother was overmatched. Anyway, but here's a guy who we know wasn't overmatched. Michael Anthony only came here to play Space Invaders and piss off the Van Halen brothers. Look out. Band practice is over. He's wearing the fucking shirt. Look at that. This is the Atari version of Space Invaders, if I am correct. And playing this in your living room back around 1980, that was basically the peak of American cultural life at that time. And I weep for what we've lost. Now I carry around my entire music collection, an encyclopedia, a personal assistant. Everything is in our phone now, and we walk around with it. Maybe just take me back for a brief time to when I thought this was all the technology that I required. Well, maybe this and Mattel handheld games, at least. Trying to save the world from the alien invasion. It was this, asteroids, and missile command for me back in the day, and my setup looked a little something like this. And the youngins don't know. Gen Z, even the millennials, have no idea how baller this setup was 40 years ago unless you were there. Just look at that. There were a lot of great setups that we had back then. This one is equally great. This is another baller setup. And look at that. You got that going right there on the 19-inch TV, baby. Nothing like a little living room Donkey Kong. 1982 style. We were kings. At least we thought we were. Outside for some wiffle ball, riding our bikes around, come into the nice air conditioning on a hot summer day. After you've just been sweating and baking, get yourself a snack, pop in the cartridge, play some fucking Donkey Kong right there. Look at that, man. I remember when I got my Donkey Kong cartridge, it was next level stuff because back then Pac-Man, some of you remember, Pac-Man was a disappointment. It was expensive. That was the one that everybody wanted to play in the comfort of their own home We had high expectations, and Atari Pac-Man sucked. But Donkey Kong actually brought the noise, and you knew you could judge your friends. I'm not here to say, look, it was an advantage. If you had an Atari and you had a lot of games, I was going to be more likely to be your friend. I'm not saying that I was a whore. But when you went over to a friend's house and you saw this kind of stash, you could overlook some of their personal foibles. You'd be like, well, all right, so Philip cuts pictures out of the Sears catalog of the bra pages and tapes them up on his bedroom wall. Counterpoint, he has Defender. So I'm going to have to just make a decision about this young man in order to be his friend. Ronnie, I'll bring you in now. I don't judge you on your video game collection, but I don't know. Back in the days when you were young, before puberty, Ron, before you were out there just hoe running on the streets of Columbus, Ohio, were you into any of these home versions of the arcade games?
Yeah, we had Atari, and my favorite for the longest time, and it's so simple, but I loved Breakout. Like, I loved Breakout, and
Yes.
there was nothing
I knew
more
you were gonna
fun.
say that.
There was nothing more fun than when you got like just a little segment up there, and then it went up the top, and then it came and started knocking them out on the top of the strip.
Satisfying.
Like,
Satisfying.
It was the best. And then
I used to play that at my friend Troy's house. He had that game.
yeah. And then
Totally justified our friendship.
My other favorite, and don't ask me why, because it's not something that I had ever done, but dude, I loved Activision skiing. Like, I was addicted to Activision skiing, and I don't know why. I think maybe I romanticized being on a mountain with the snow, and I don't know like why I loved it, but I loved Activision skiing.
I distinctly remember when I went in to have my adenoids removed. It's the only time I've been under general anesthesia in my entire life. January of 1983. I remember my mom let me take the Atari 2600 and some games, and I remember being in the hospital bed the night before the surgery playing Activision skiing. Ron, you're
why was it so satisfying?
Right. That was one
why
of
was it so satisfying?
Activision games, I mean, tennis was good. All the Activision games
I know,
were
but
good, and you could
skiing
play
in particular.
Of your own home.
Skiing in particular, I don't know why.
It was always nice to be able to play in your underwear, and to be able to be at home and just play in your underwear. You didn't have to wear a shirt. You didn't have to wear pants. But some people weren't burdened by normal social norms, and they would just show up at the arcade like beasts, like this guy, for instance. He wasn't waiting to get the Atari in his house. That's not the tweet that I thought that I was going to look at.
But it's still funny.
So,
it's still funny.
I thought it was a different tweet.
I know, it's still funny. It kind of
made
makes
sense. What kind of a social deviant goes to the arcade? Well, of course it's funny. I wrote it, Ron. Don't act like you're surprised.
No, I mean the fact that he's wearing a suit and you were
too,
talking about underwear. Like, it's just funny.
Yeah. Well, it looks like there might be like a drug handoff that's going to occur there or something.
This guy with the briefcase that looks just like that briefcase.
Got the bag of groceries. Yeah. Somebody's just going to come through on their way to play Joust.
Switch them.
They're going to pick up that briefcase, switch them out. Yeah. Something's going on here. But I don't know, man. Like, yeah. You're not going to be making any drug deals if you're driving that car around. I'll tell you that right now. Perfect vehicle to announce to the world, I have the high score on every Pac-Man within a 100-mile radius. And in a related story, I will never take a bride. The car motor of that should say waka, waka, waka. Like, as that thing drives down the street, it should just sound like Pac-Man.
Or at least have a horn.
Estimation.
At least have a horn that'll do it.
Ronnie, as you know, I'm from a small town. I grew up in a small town. I was born in a small town. I was raised in a small town. I don't know. It's possible I might even die one day in a small town, Ron. I don't know what's going to happen. set the high score on Cubert in a small town, played some dig dug in a small town. John Cougar Mellencamp, Cubert enthusiast right there. We saw Michael Anthony earlier. He was a Space Invaders fan. John Cougar Mellencamp preferred a little bit of Cubert. I used to play Cubert in a lot of other games in the small town of Cave City, Kentucky at the Fun Factory, which was adjacent to the Cave City Minute Mart. And if I had $10 in quarters when I walked in there, I already knew in my mind. That's what I was doing during the school day while the teacher was trying to teach. I'm sitting there in my chair trying to figure out how I'm going to use my quarters. One for Galaga, one for Pac-Man, one for track and field, a couple more for Galaga after that. Spend the entire afternoon at the Fun Factory. At recess, you would show your friends your thick stack of quarters. And you could just establish your dominance by letting them know, oh yeah, I've got $10 worth of quarters. That's who the fuck I am. You want to know who I am?
Ricky
That's
motherfucking
who I am. I'm also
Cobb.
a guy with poll replies. That's right. Never truer than in 1982 at the Fun Factory. Let's see what Super 70 Sports Nation is saying about this one. And oh, look, it's a little closer than it was before. Golf carts holding on, though, to almost a 2% lead. I think that they're going to most likely make it to Championship Friday tomorrow, but we'll keep our eye on the Waffle House in case it fights its way back into contention. Let's see what folks are saying about it. Rob Howell says, Jerome Bettis eating waffles and scattered, smothered, and covered hash browns while driving a golf cart and listening to Friday I'm in Love. Well, that's a hell of a prompt for ChatGPT, isn't it? Jim Kaiser, the poet laureate of Super 70 Sports, says, if I can drive it, you bet I will vote for it. I don't even golf. And see, that's the thing. You don't even have to golf to enjoy a golf cart. It's just a wonderful personal vehicle, quite frankly. Although Ronnie says you got to have a young family or you've got to be old as fuck in order to drive one. Mark Clark says, why is Vince Lombardi's fist dick with a whistle not a selection? Oh, thank you, Mark. God bless you for that. That was a highlight of yesterday's program as far as I'm concerned. See the things that you miss when you miss an episode of this show? Lonnie Altazer says, Jerome Bettis driving a golf cart to Waffle House is the answer. And Dick Drago says, golf cart with a styrofoam cooler full of cheap beer. Ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it. A styrofoam of cheap beer would, oh my God. I used to try to catch her, but I never even caught her name. That girl used to fall down a lot. Ron, are you not enjoying? I didn't know you were in The Cure.
Yeah, but I'm ashamed of our song.
them.
I'm ashamed of your favorite song of ours, Catch. Like, it's the worst song ever.
That's a great... Listen,
Dude,
you, motherfucker, you heard it for the first time this
terrible.
afternoon. You are not qualified. You are not qualified to talk about.
I can listen to songs and know I like them right off the bat. That was the worst thing I've ever listened to.
You like Hardy. You like Hardy, Ron.
Yeah, so does Johnny Damon. Yeah. Johnny Damon, what do you want? Would you say that to Johnny Damon? Johnny Damon will whip your ass.
Well, how many All-Star games have you played in, Ron?
Well,
think about that.
Just saying.
Well, all right. Fair enough. We'll agree to disagree, Ron. We can do that at this stage of our friendship. Thank you, as always, for your contributions to this broadcasting excellence.
This is what ended it.
My thanks as well to Dallas Clark. Yeah. We better end it before we get into let's go to Waffle House and have a fist fight, Ron. That's how we'll settle it. My thanks to Dallas Clark for joining me today. That was a fun conversation. I hope that you liked it as well. My thanks to Molly and Colin and Adam in Nashville, to P.A. Jarrett, and of course to producer Tim as well. But most of all to you guys, because without you sweet bastards, there is no show. And I love you. You can find us as always at Fox Nation, Outkick.com, and on YouTube at The Ricky Cobb Show. channel. So head over there and give us a subscription if you're so inclined. We would appreciate it. You can find us in podcast form on both Apple and Spotify, and our content is also ready to consume on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and yeah, that's right, X, where you will also find me at Super 70 Sports. Let's make a deal right now that we'll meet back here tomorrow when we will get your weekend started early, and we will get it started right with another episode of The Ricky Cobb Show.